I started it, downloading the replay. Can you see
Okay.
my screen fine?
Yeah, I can.
Alright, let me know if it lags, because sometimes Discord does that.
Okay.
You were this guy.
Mm-hmm.
You were 9th pick. I don't mind it because you guys don't have any disables, so it's a decent pick. Yeah, let's get into it. So what MMR are you? And do you want to focus mostly on carry?
Honestly, whatever it takes to get out of the 2 to 3K bracket.
Lol.
I mean, obviously I'm not very good at any of them, otherwise I'd be out of this bracket,
Yeah.
but...
At least you have that mindset where it's not like, well, I'm fucking like, I'm a 5K, but I'm stuck in here. Which is, it's a lot better to have the mindset that you have if you're trying to learn.
I mean, I want to get out of the bracket, I want to get better. I have more fun carrying, but that doesn't... I mean, I don't dislike any of the roles, really.
The thing with carry, I think any of the 3 core roles are probably the best for winning the games to climb MMR. It's just about picking the right hero for it. Like, chaosknight is very dependent on having a good lane. So it makes your chance of contributing more based on your team.
Okay.
So if you can get a good start, this guy can run away with the game, but you need a good start, which kind of relies on the enemy fucking up or your support doing well. So what you should look for in heroes that you want to climb with is how like independent are they from like supports and shit. Like bloodseeker is kind of like the archetype of, he doesn't give a fuck if he has supports or not, really. Like, it's nice if you have them, but like you have so much damage and sustain through last hitting that it's like he's probably one of the best heroes to not have supports with, unless the lane is like horribly enemy favored. So the first thing that I want to point out is this hero is very mana dependent. Did you get the mango so you could stun again?
Yes.
Okay. I was gonna say you need either a clarity or a mango.
I got the mango for the on use.
Yeah.
Also the HP regen is nice.
Yeah. One thing that I want to point out though is you have one thing in your quick buy, but like you should just have it like filled up.
How do you add more than one item?
You control shift click extra items. So like
it's control and shift. Okay.
Yeah. And then you can like there's 8 slots that you can fill up with it. So like you could get wand in there too, and treads, and then like a salve or a clarity. So if you're laning against the bristle, you can get the 2 branches from base, and it just saves you a lot of time and energy, and it allows you to like, it forces you to think about how the lane's gonna go rather than just like reacting to it. And if you ever die, you can buy out and save gold. Yeah. So yeah, you know that you're against the bristleback, so it's kind of like you really want a wand here. And I wouldn't mind if you just put 2 branches on the courier right now and waited for your mid to use the courier for whatever he needs to, and then send it bottom, because you really want to stick against this guy.
Okay.
And he's gonna give you like all the mana that you really need by spamming the quills, or he's gonna be useless, and either one's just like fine. Do you try to get the range creep first?
I do.
Okay, good. Because that just makes the lane equilibrium a lot less fragile. I don't mind the early Quelling Blade on this guy because he has like the highest damage variance in the game. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure he has the highest one. You range 30 damage. So it's pretty hard to last hit on him if you get bad rolls. But you definitely want to stick early in this lane.
I get one at some point, I don't remember when.
Like right now, if you had the quick buy how I told you to have it before, you'd be able to pick up your stick in the boots right here and not miss any last hits. You get the boots, but you don't get the stick also, which might cost you a few charges. And right here, you should definitely be going on him. This is something that you can easily punish. When you have 3 creeps, your hero and your oracle all right here. So like this is the most you're ever gonna be able to harass him. If you just like stunned him here, and I think you should have a second point in your stun, instead of this.
Okay.
Because like if you get a 3-second stun here, I think you can just kill him. But yeah, that also would have been a lot more worth it if you had the stick, because you're sitting on full mana, so your mana regen isn't doing anything. But if you have a stick, then it's like fine if you use the mana, because you'll still have like some extra in reserve if you have to have it. If that makes sense. Okay. And that's kind of like you're pushing the lane by doing this. Where is it? Right here. Nothing's attacking this except for you. So you killed that off, meaning that it's gonna push a little bit harder. It's still gonna go under his tower regardless, but like you might be able to get an extra deny before it goes there. So that's just like little equilibrium things. And here I would be pulling I'd be pulling these 2 melee creeps onto my range creep.
By clicking on them a couple times.
Yeah, you just have to click on them once. And these 2 will kill off that range creep, and that will make it so it's definitely pushing under your tower in that case. Whereas like you can still fuck it up at this point. Actually, yeah, I guess this is the new creep wave, so it's that might not have actually pushed it to your tower, because this is a fresh creep wave, and this is an old one. But it at least let you get the deny on the range creep, and then maybe another deny because you want to be pushing so hard. But yeah, if we went back and counted all the times that he's cast his spell in the lane, yeah. If you got the stick instead of the quelling blade at the start, or even like just right after the quelling blade, I'm sure you would have had like 20 charges by now, which is 300 health and mana. And you're a hero that's so dependent on getting a good early game. It's a lot more important to. So would you agree that your treads are more for killing him, and the wand is more for surviving the lane?
I would.
So what I want to point out is that your hero is so dependent on the early game, and the value of getting early kills is so low that the 400 towards your wand is. I would say even just having a wand itself is more important than having treads, even though treads are more than twice the cost, with the glove and the belt that go into it. Does that make sense?
So the survival and the lane presence is much more important than the critical kill.
Yeah, and if the way that I look at treads, I see them as 950 gold because you're getting boots no matter what. So that 950 gold, I would rather have a stick than upgraded boots, even though it's less than half the gold. It just does more for you, and it's half the cost. Because like the whole time here, you'd be regenerating an extra like 0.6, and you would have full mana right now, and you wouldn't have had to use your salve. Do you have any questions so far?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it's just this guy's cast like fucking Quill like 30 times. And right there, it cost you 100 gold not to have your stick upgraded.
Because I had to use Mango.
Yeah, you would have used the stick instead, and you would have had more health. I think the main takeaway from this lane is just identifying that the wand is going to solve your mana and health problems. And I don't really want to harp on it too much anymore because it's kind of like, I'm sure you get the point.
I don't want to I'm pretty sure.
It's just kind of like identifying what the lane's going to look like. And the lane's going to look like him casting a bunch of fucking spells. And you're a hero that needs mana after he gets a kill, because then you're no threat after your first kill, because this takes up most of your mana pool. And if you just have a stick, it solves all of his harass, and then also feeds into your kill potential. And like you have to buy
more tangos.
Yeah, you spent 125 gold on this, and then an extra 100 gold on the mango. And beforehand, you had to use a salve when you didn't need to. So, like, you've spent 400 gold to get a wand, and then you've also spent 400 gold because you didn't get the wand. Does that make sense? See how nice it is just to have all these charges?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's most of the laning phase. And, like, all that I'm gonna say more is, like, look at how good Wand is, so I'm gonna skip forward some.
Okay.
So here, it's a lot, you should be getting the armlet recipe instead of the glove here, and then fly that out, so when you have the, yeah, it's the same as how Battle Fury used to be. You would want to get all of the components, that you can't get from the side shop flown out to you, so that when you have the gold, you get Battle Fury the second that you have the gold, as opposed to the courier might be fucking off lane or some shit, and it takes you 2 minutes to get your item.
Gotcha.
I think this is just you have... Have you seen people doing this build? I don't play chaosknight too much, so I don't know if this is the build or not.
It was the highest ranked one.
Okay.
I don't know the builds.
I think... Shit. I think that could have been a kill if you had this maxed, but I'm not sure that that would be correct to have it maxed. I'm just saying that you don't have kill potential there unless your stun is longer. So either have your bolt maxed or don't go for that, because this guy's super tanky and you're not just gonna like kill him off a level 1 stun when your oracle's like barely impactful in this. It's also been sapping the shit out of you. And here I'd be looking to move around the map more. Like, you got your armlet and you got your treads. You're pretty fucking strong right now. But, like, what's your armlet gonna accomplish sitting bottom?
Nothing.
Yeah, so if you try to go somewhere else and force something there, when it's your spike, it could be not the enemy's spike. Like, this PA has a Blightstone right now, and if you wait an extra 3 minutes, she's gonna have a Desolator. But Desolator isn't great until you have it completed. So if you go now, you're gonna fucking dick her down. But if you go when she has a Desolator, it's gonna be a lot closer.
Gotcha.
So right when you get your power spike, you should be looking to move around. And most of the carries that are in meta right now are heroes that can move around at like 8 to 12 minutes and do something in the off lane.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really like you going bottom, because your tower's down and it's very vulnerable. Like, you can't do anything when it pushes to here. So TPing bottom's gonna like let you get 2 creep waves and then you're gonna do nothing. Top's kind of the same, but top at least has a ward. And you can like farm this a lot safer. And if they come for you top, it's a lot better. Just by like nature of the importance of towers, like your safe lane is always if you look at what this tower provides, it's like with this tower down, you don't really want to be like past like here, right?
You're right.
But with this tower down, like, whoop-de-fucking do. Like, what do you lose with this tower being down? The main thing with this tower being down is instead of this being a good ward, this one's a good ward, which like just catches more stuff. That's like really the most of it. So if you're top and they all like try and gank you, they're not gonna get an important tower. Like if this tower falls down, you lose like all of this area, right? Like yeah. So but if you lose this, it's like, all right, I guess it's a little bit more scary to be over here, but you're at a shrine anyways. So It's just if you're on this side, they're gonna be ready to take something if they kill you, but what they take isn't nearly as important as if they kill you over here.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the opposite is true, where if you take a fight here and it goes well, you take their offlane tower, whoop-de-fucking-do. But if you take a fight here, then you take their safe lane tower.
Gotcha.
Which is a huge... plus they have you guys have a ward up there, so it's a little bit safer anyways.
So you would have gone top instead.
Let me see exactly. Because I think your guys were there, so it was like kind of... yeah, I would have went top here. Like TP'd like right now. You might have got the bristle. And you have your ult, so you're pretty strong. And then the Furion comes out. And then you'd be able to push this after. But now it's kind of like there's two guys up there. I don't really want to steal their farm. So you taking too long made it so that this farm isn't really available to you anymore. Whereas if you went like right away, it would have been good. And then that sucks. And when you have this, you can use your reality rift to farm.
Okay.
That's one of the main reasons Echo Saber's good on him.
The mana regen.
Yeah, you can use your rift as like a pseudo blink. And this is just like more going bottom. Like the way that this guy catches up is not by farming more. You just take favorable fights and you get kills and then you push off of it. Because you have no farming mechanic. Like she has a blink and she has a stronger crit. And then she also gets the cleave. This guy has a nuke. This guy has AoE. You have a 12% chance to do a shitty crit. So this guy's like one of the worst, like, farming the jungle carries in the game.
Okay.
I actually wouldn't mind you going blink instead of heart here, and then going heart next.
I ended up not going hard.
Okay.
And ended up going BKB.
BKB is good too. Ish. One of the main problems I see in lower games is people take team fights and they win them, and then they just go farm. But you didn't have any resources though, so that wasn't really an example of that. But yeah, like if you had a Blink Dagger here, you could just, like, you don't have the gold for it, but like this is an example of where Blink would be good. You just Blink, Rift, Stun, and then they're dead.
Gotcha.
And one of the main reasons that it's good for you is there's a huge range on this, like the catch for your illusion. So you can illusion, Blink, Rift, and then your illusions will still Rift with you because the range is like 1,000 plus or something.
Okay.
And you guys don't have any initiation. Like the best initiation you have is they run away and this guy Qs them, or he's solo and doesn't have any way to cut Sprout. So that would allow you to solve that some. See, like they just run away. What the fuck?
What?
Dude just messaged me asking me if I know Spanish. Yeah, so a lot of what's gonna happen from here out is like you're just behind on a hero that doesn't like going behind. And you don't really have that great of a catch-up. So you're kind of just in a pickle because of the things that I pointed out earlier. So I think this replay is about as good as we're gonna get out of it. If you wanted to go to another one, or if you wanted to call it here and just try to implement some of this stuff and then get more replays, it's up to you.
Trying to look through. How about a bloodseeker again, since I'm not very good with him, and you're talking about him being very...
Sure. Your latest one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't played him very much.
You want a Quelling Blade in your starting inventory. Like getting one at 10 minutes just doesn't really do anything. And he's a hero that his regen is basically his last hitting. So Quelling Blade is regen for you. Let me tell this guy to chill out. Yeah, so this is
another long lane.
Yeah. And it's just kind of like you've missed 2 last hits because you don't 3 because you don't have a Quelling Blade. Which means you're not at full health right now. Like you'd have full health right now if you had a Quelling Blade. And so what I would recommend right now is starting with the Quelling Blade, and then flying out the mango and the branches as soon as you can, or putting it on the courier and waiting for your mid to use the courier and then send it bottom.
Okay.
And again, it's the quick buy, but you didn't know how to do the queue up thing, which hopefully you fix by the next replays, because that's pretty important.
Yeah, you just taught me how to do that.
Yeah. And that's like one of the things that I've had to teach like every one of my students. And like you get boots on the courier, which like you could just get it at the side shop. It's another 2 last hits that you missed 3 because of Quelling Blade. You just, like, this guy you have to start with Quelling Blade because last hits are so important on him. And it also kind of, like, lets you deny better because oftentimes your creep and their creep will get low at about the same time. And usually you have to pick one or the other, but if you have a Quelling Blade, you can last hit theirs sooner and then ready up your attack to last hit yours for the deny. So, like, this whole lane, you'd probably have, like, 10 more last hits and denies, or, like, mixed so far in this lane. And you would be, like, level 3.5, and they'd be, like, 2.5. And that'd actually make a huge deal. Like, you'd have an extra, probably 200 gold. They'd probably have, like, 200 less. It's kind of unfortunate, but at least you got your stuff. And when you're at full health like this and they're at full health, it's pretty good to just like punch this guy.
The bristleback?
Yeah. Like, the main thing is just not getting to a threshold where they can kill you when you go up for a last hit. So, it's kind of like, if you do the trade with the bristle and you take 100 damage and he takes 100 damage, then you just get a last hit and you're fine, but he's down 100 damage, or 100 health. And then you do that 2 or 3 more times and you get thirst, and then you can just kill him whenever he does it again. But if you don't do it, and you go get a last hit, you have 100 health that you didn't heal because you're full anyways. So it's kind of like you're wasting regen right now.
So with this guy, I want to be hovering right around 80% health because I get a last hit.
Yeah. Just like don't be 100% if you, or don't be afraid to trade if you're at 100. Like, this is good. This is really good. I'd be backing off though after the second quill stack. I'd back off because then it starts to, like, right now it's kind of like, alright, that was good, I'm gonna back off.
Okay.
Because then he's starting to do real damage to you.
Gotcha.
And all you're gonna, like, this is where, like, if you back off when I said to, you just strictly won. But if you keep going, there's a chance of, like, both of you having to back, which is not what you want, because he's, like, right now he's playing the support role, and you're the carry, so you're a trading about, like, I'd say that's, like, 50-50 chance it going either way if you keep running at him. Like, this guy could, like, jump on you and then do the nuke, and this guy could run you down with his quills, and you could just die there. So the chances of that being good or bad is about even, and the amount that you need to have, like, I probably wouldn't even go for that if it was like a 90% chance it's good for me and 10% chance bad, because you're the position 1 and he's the position 4. But yeah, it's kind of just like you not having Quelling Blade at the start lost you this game, I think, or at least like it lost you the early game. Huh? Yeah. Like, if you had those, what the fuck are they gonna do to you? You just run them over in this lane. Because you trade with them, and then you regen up, and they don't. And then you get a ton of denies, because they're low, and they can't contest you. And then they get no experience, and you get all of the farm and extra experience. Like, in a lane where you're getting every deny, you're getting 5 times the experience of them. Because they're getting 25%, and you're getting 125%. Because you get, when you deny, you get 25% of the experience of your own creep. Should deny your, yeah, there you go. But we're at almost 45 minutes, and I think it's gonna be more time efficient to cut it at the 45 than go for the hour, because a lot of the stuff's like problems that we need to fix before we can move on. Because like the rest of the replays, like right now you should be like level 8 or something, and the game just is played differently if you're level 8. So going over more of it is not super effective. Okay. Does that make... Would you agree with that? Because if you want to keep going, I can go, but it's like I want you to fix the things that are like your late game's gonna be fucked until you fix the early game things. So going to the late game is just kind of like a waste of time right now.
Okay, sure. So things like using the curve only to buy items that you can't buy at the side shop.
Yeah.
Where you start off against a hero that uses spells frequently, grab a stick, and Quelling Blade's extremely important.
Yeah, Quelling... On this guy, it's super important. Don't underestimate the value of having this set out. Because, like, there's so many reasons that is good. I talk about it in, like, all of my sessions. One of them is if you die and you just buy out your shit, what the fuck is that? Hey, but that is not what that's the fuck. Hey, that's supposed to say other shit, and one of the things it says is death cost. And it's usually somewhere in the early game. It's like 70 to like 200 gold or some shit, and that's just kind of like gold that you lose if you don't do this. So if you die 3 times in the early game, that's like 400 gold right there. And that could be the difference between you getting like your boots or not getting your boots when you TP out, which is huge. Or when you got your phase boots, maybe you only get one of the blades instead of both of them, so you don't have it completed. So the being able to buy out is huge, and then not having to like fumble around in the side shop. Like if you want to get a stick, you have to go over here and then you open the shop and then you're like, where the fuck is the stick? Hurry up, I missed the last hit. So it saves you time with that, and then it allows you to think about what the lane is going to be and what you need to deal with the lane. And that's great for learning and improving, because it's kind of like, if you don't do that prior, then you're just going to be like, alright, well, this lane sucks, and you're not going to learn anything out of it. But if you're like, alright, well, AM's probably going to get a support, and Bounty Hunter's probably the best to do that, or he's not going to get a support. And Pangolier and Bristleback are both offlaners, so at least one of them is going to be in my lane, and there's at least a 50% chance that Bristleback's the guy farming, and if he's not, there's another small chance that he's there, like, just not farming. So there's like a 60% chance there's a Bristleback in my lane. So I want to build according to that, or have a wand in my quick buy so that if he is in my lane, then I can get it. And if you have all of these things going through your mind in the first minute and a half when you're just like waiting at a bounty rune, then you're gonna be wrong some of the times. And when you make a prediction and then you're wrong, you learn a lot more from it than if you don't make any prediction. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So definitely use the quick buy. That's one of the big things. Don't underestimate Quelling Blade, especially on this guy. It's a lot of people think of it as like a last hitting crutch, and that's what I used to think of it. But it's like if you go to a pro game, like the carries are gonna get Quelling Blades, and it's not because they're bad at lasting. It's just like maybe you get a last hit sooner, and then you can also deny your guy, and that's 50 gold that this guy can't get, and a bunch of experience from just one deny. And then if he ever denies you instead of you getting the last hit because you don't have the Quelling Blade, that's him getting 25% experience and you losing 75%, and 60 gold or whatever. And then if you ever jungle, it's just like maybe you try and take these 3 camps, and when you get here it's at 54 or 55, and you can't stack it. But if you had a Quelling Blade, you get there at 50 and you can stack it. Or if you're pushing out this lane and this guy isn't here, it may take 12 seconds to clear this out instead of 10. And like when they see you, they're like, all right, we're gonna TP here and then run here. And then by the time they get here, if you have a Quelling Blade, you might already be gone. And they just wasted all their fucking time. But if you don't have the Quelling Blade, they can just kill you. So it's just like, it's 200 fucking gold. If you get 2 last hits, it pays for itself because you can sell it for 100 later on. So Quelling Blade is definitely huge. Stick is amazing, and like even some lanes where they don't cast a lot, just the health regen's really good. Especially if you're one of the heroes of the day, one of the 10 that starts with the mango. It just cuts the cost down to like when you leave the base, you can get the recipe, so to say, for magic wand for 100 gold, just by like you start with this and then you just need both of these to be able to get it at the side shop. So in that case, it's half the cost commitment to getting wand at the early game. So if you're one of those heroes, definitely consider it a lot harder. And then there's heroes like PL is a really good one with it, because like if you have a little bit of regen, you can farm decently, because like your illusions can tank, but you need more than like what you have, and that 1.5 can get you really close to it.
I gotcha.
Yeah, and then like of course heroes like CK, it's just like 100 mana on this guy is fucking ridiculously good. Like if you have 40 mana and then you get 100 from your stick, you can get a kill, and it's just 400 gold to get you a kill, plus all the health that it's gave you and all the health regen it's gave you and the 2 stats. Like if we look at just the stats that it gives you, it's 1 all stats, and then 1.5 health regen. And if you compare that to the smallest, it's a ring of regen and 2 branches combined into an item for the same cost. But you also get all of the fucking stick. Plus it has 7 extra charges that can get. So it's just a really efficient item on a lot of heroes. But then there's just like some that don't really care about it, like bloodseeker. I probably wouldn't upgrade it in this lane, because like you don't really need the 2 all stats, and the health regen doesn't matter at all, because it's like they're either gonna kill you when you get the last hit or they're not, and you don't really want to sit around for 30 seconds waiting for that 1.5 regen to put you in the place where it's gonna allow you to get the last hits. So the stick itself would be really good though, and it's half the cost. So this is one of those heroes that in that lane I would have just got the stick probably. And you don't have to use the courier to get this bullshit. So yeah, this game, you definitely should have started with the Quelling Blade, queued up your shit, got a stick, got your boots from the side shop. Don't get the Orb of Venom. I understand your reasoning behind it, but it's kind of like, you don't really need it on this hero. Like, when you get phase boots, that, like, is good enough, because you get 2 attacks in, and then your thirst starts, and then you get the 3rd attack in, and you're just fast as fuck. And this is just kind of like a detour. Whereas, if you start with boots, I like to think of Orb of Venoms as, like, removing boots from the enemy, which in a lot of situations can be really good. Because, like, let's say it was Bristleback solo off lane against you and her. If you remove boots from this guy, pseudo remove boots from this guy from the Orb of Venom, that's kind of like both you and her getting boots, which is 800 gold for 275 gold. And then there's also, like, let's say you're right here, or you and an enemy hero are right here, and you start attacking somebody, and they have to run back to their tower, but when they're at their tower, they're safe. And let's say you have 10 more movement speed than them, but they're only at 100 and you're at 110. The amount of hits that you're going to get on them from here to here, as opposed to if you have 10 more movement speed and they're at 540 and you're at 550, you're going to get so many more so many more hits on them if you're both at the 100 range as opposed to the 550 range. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're you get more hits because you're faster.
Yeah.
Faster.
You're both slow enough that
it actually makes a difference.
Yeah. And in
you have to divide by the distance.
Yeah, and in that example, Orb of Venom can be better than boots because it's kind of a less exaggerated version of like, you would, if you're attacking somebody, you'd rather have Orb of Venom and them not have boots than you have boots and them not have boots and you don't have an Orb of Venom. Does that make sense?
Because both of your move speeds are faster.
Yeah, you would rather have both of your movement speeds the same, like, 40 difference, but as close to 0 as possible. And Orb of Venom does that for cheaper, and it also does 15 damage.
And at lower movement speeds, Orb of Venom, the effectiveness is higher than boots.
Yeah. That's not too important to know, but it's just kind of like, nobody else is gonna fucking tell you that. So over a lot of coaching, that's definitely worth knowing. But it's kind of like, if you have your phase boots just like a minute or two sooner, you're gonna get more last hits, and then you're gonna be able to just like kill them. And Orb of Venom stops you from getting Quelling Blade, which is like the main point.
Okay.
But yeah, so do you have any final questions before we wrap this up?
I don't think so. No.
Right. So we're gonna count that as 45. We went a little over, which is fine. And then I'm going to stop recording now, and I'm gonna upload